I think the politicians exaggerate and some lie.
But didn't he do a lot more than most?
I mean,
but didn't you once say? I know you did. You once said he doesn't hurl personal insults, normalize anything bad. You know, people have said that he did lie a little more than most presidents. I mean, no president is completely truthful, but he's a bit of a fibber.
I was making the point that when it was in the context of something, and I also have seen him be very compassionate towards people. He's got people out of jail who were languishing there.
Did Kellyanne Conway just admit Trump's a liar on national TV? You bet she did, and boy, did it set off a storm. Trump's reaction, let's just say he wasn't sending her flowers. We've got the blow-by-blow of this political smackdown, and trust me, it's juicier than a White House leak. Ready to see Conway's world implode? Imagine a rabbit inside a magician's hat. Imagine Kellyanne Conway is frantically attempting to conceal the fact that that rabbit is actually one of Trump's lies.
Whole life, dumb as a rock, moron, stupid guy, very dumb guy, failing comedian, a really dumb guy, a so-called comedian, third-rate comedian. This is just a list of what he said about me.
Oh, me.
A dummy, dopey, he's not a smart guy, dumbest man on television, fired like a dog, needs to get back on the pot, dumbass, a rather dumb guy, insane, sick, wacko, stone cold, crazy, and crazy maniac.
I can't imagine the applause is a sense.
I know, but come on, you said he doesn't hurl insults.
Bill.
That's
if you're
just
gonna
me.
cherry pick things.
That's just cherry pick.
Listen,
Conway, the master spin doctor, has devoted his professional life to transforming Trump's word salads into policies that make sense. She manipulates facts until they are as pliable as a rubber band, much like a verbal contortionist. However, Bill Maher refused to accept it. Unable to let go of his inquiries about Trump's honesty, he attacked Conway like a terrier after a bone. What about the time Trump said he had the biggest inauguration crowd ever? Maher pushed. Maher kept returning to it like a dog with a favorite chew toy, despite Conway's attempts to avoid it. Conway began to resemble a child with her hand in the cookie jar as Maher's questions mounted. She started using a lot of ums and ahs instead of her usual fluid speech. It was similar to witnessing a skilled chef abruptly lose the ability to boil water. Conway's gaze swept across the studio, likely in search of an escape hatch that was nowhere to be found. Trump's hairspray was not as thick as the tension in the room. Conway was trying to think of a way out, and you could almost hear the gears grinding in her mind. Conway's efforts to prevent the Tower of Lies from collapsing were like watching a game of verbal Jenga. Then the moment we had all been anticipating arrived.
Do you have information on this? Can you help me steer this way? I don't know what I'm doing on this. There's a certain value to public service, and some people look the other way. And you know, I would also tell you, just lumping together 74 million people with all the troublemakers, the thugs, the marauders. Listen, I loved being in public service. I loved serving this country. I gave up millions of dollars to go into the White House, and I loved what my portfolio included, which was healthcare, education, the opioid crisis. And I really liked the incoming that people asking.
Cornered like a rat in a trap, Conway finally gave out. Okay, she said. Trump might be a bit of a fibber. The crowd let out a gasp. Hearing the Pope acknowledge that he isn't particularly interested in religion was like that. But hold on, people. Now that the rabbit is out of the hat, it will soon multiply. Because, well, let's just say that things went south for Trump when he learned of Conway's error. Vesuvius, come on over. 280 character lava is erupting from a recently formed volcano in the area. The political Richter scale registered Trump's explosive response to Conway's honesty bomb. However, the crucial question is this: who truly wins the war between Conway's truth and Trump's tweets? It's like listening to a broken record player that keeps playing "You're Fired" when it comes to Trump and the alleged betrayal, usually with all the subtlety of a bull in a Twitter China shop.
I think that corporate America make a big mistake trying to lump them all together and just ignore them. I think that those marauders and murderers, I think that they insult, not represent the whole Trump movement.
That's my editorial.
But it's incredibly,
on your page.
It's incredibly dangerous too. And I know they vote every 2 to 4 years, but they consume products and services every day. And I think, and that 74 million is not a base. It's a large percentage of this country. But for me, I look at the good that was done to help impact people's lives positively. I think that government is messy.
The man has a history of snapping at anyone who dares to cross him. Conway's hint that Trump might be a bit of a fibber, therefore, put everyone on edge, anticipating the inevitable Trump disruption. You could almost hear everyone in the country gasping for air as word of Conway's error spread. It resembled a slow-motion train accident, with the exception that the train was orange and had terrible hair. The public was glued to their screens, anticipating Trump's volcano of rage and hurt feelings. And he delivered, boy, more quickly than a microwave with a metal spoon inside.
These corporate handbooks have it on page 684. We're going to have more women at the seat of the table. I had one. And like I said, I lost some of those policy debates, I won some, but he always liked people to disagree in front of him too. I'm happy that I worked for a president who kept the Oval Office door open to many of us. We can go in and express ourselves. I didn't win every policy debate, but I was heard. And I think any woman in a workplace who is heard by her boss and has a seat at the table should really appreciate that.
But he is the president. He represents the country. When he was first there, I remember saying there was a book called Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. You remember that book?
I do remember.
And it was probably when you were first doing old politically incorrect shows. We were probably talking about
Cue that tape.
Trump's Twitter account went viral. In his tweets, he referred to Conway as a traitor and a loser. It was similar to watching someone play insult bingo without filling out half of their card. Perhaps he was simply out of Diet Coke that day, but Grumpy Trumpy seemed to be running out of steam. Trump's followers' responses were more polarized than a Weight Watchers meeting pizza. While some of them tried to manipulate Conway's remarks like a DJ at a MAGA rally, others left her as quickly as a hot potato. She didn't mean fibber, she meant creative truth teller. Yes, and I am the English queen. The worst part, though, is that Conway's reaction to Trump's outburst on Twitter was as thrilling as watching paint dry. She probably decided it would be best to let Sleeping Donalds lie, so she remained silent. It seemed as though she had just remembered that she had left the oven running and had discreetly left the political circus.
This is from Everything I Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. Don't lie, don't boast, don't threaten, don't bully, don't accuse people of stuff that's not true.
Let's examine the broader picture as this political tornado comes to an end. Who would have guessed that a small amount of truth could create such a stir in the land of alternative facts? Sincerity seems to be Trump's worst enemy. Who could have known? It appears that even the most skilled spin doctors are not always able to hide the truth, people. Who knew that in politics, honesty could be such a party pooper? This whole mess only serves to highlight how unstable loyalty is in Trump's world, much like a house of cards during a hurricane. If you think about it, it's kind of funny. The entire Trump train abruptly goes awry after a single minor linguistic blunder. It raises the question of what additional surprises could be hidden in the White House closet. Perhaps we will discover that Trump's hair is actually an extraterrestrial life form that is planning to take over the world. Don't you think that would explain a lot? Ultimately, this confrontation between Maher and Conway serves as a reminder that even when it is not invited to the party, the truth can occasionally find a way to surface, and that can be a real showstopper in the political arena.